The Virtual Boy is very, very interesting to me because this is a re-release of a console that I think a lot of people didn't expect to get a re-release. This is it's out on NSO. You can get this piece of hardware on the Nintendo Store. You can plug in your Switch to it, and it can pretty accurately recreate the experience of actually playing on a Virtual Boy. So it's better than like the 2D like conversions on emulation that like you may be familiar with. So this has like the 3D effects that are completely unemulatable, by the way. So it looks and plays like the actual Virtual Boy, and it's something that like a lot of us never thought would happen. I was pushing for like Nintendo to do something like this with DS first, but I do think this is like a pretty good first step in that like they're releasing hardware that you can plug your Switch into and can emulate other Nintendo consoles. So I'm sure they can do the same thing with DS emulation, with Wii U emulation. I'm sure at a certain point we're going to see like more and more classic Nintendo hardware just kind of expand with these kind of accessories. But like that's not what this video is about. Like the interesting thing about this to me is that looking at the Virtual Boy and how much effort they put into like the unique form factor, plugging your Switch into the Virtual Boy and then having like the goggles simulate like the 3D effect. It's very interesting to me because I feel as if in theory this would be a perfectly, the console is perfectly capable of doing the exact same thing, but with a more modern VR headset. So you could plug your Switch into a VR, into a headset, have the Switch be the computer, and like have it like run the games and all that. But the headset is just kind of like a goggle to like simulate the 3D effect. I think in theory this is like what Nintendo is going to do when it comes to like VR going forward, because we all know like VR is a niche thing. It's too expensive. Like there isn't enough software for it, but there definitely is this like potential there. And I feel like Nintendo for a long time has been struggling on how best to like try and like go into this industry without really going into it, because like it's just not viable right now. And we saw that already with like Labo VR, where like a lot of major Nintendo games had like these VR headsets that like you could use and play with like the Labo VR. It wasn't super popular or successful, but they tried that with the cardboard. Like people clowned on it, but like the reality of it was that Nintendo was experimenting with a method to make VR as cheap as possible. Okay, so the core issue with the technology, the price point would not be an issue going forward, right? And with the Virtual Boy, they did something similar in which like they had two different versions of the Virtual Boy. They had like the fully fledged hardware replication, which is what I got, and then you have the cardboard. And a lot of people right now are saying the cardboard version that you can get for $25 is actually superior. I don't know how true that is, but like I think that really showcases Nintendo's mindset when it comes to this, is that like they are experimenting with the possibilities of VR, using these Virtual Boys, using this cardboard to try and like beta test this technology. And I do think it's very, very possible that we very well may see an actual Nintendo VR headset this generation because of it. But it's going to like be very functionally different than other VR headsets, where it will not be its own isolated thing, where like Meta is just like, oh yeah, please pay $500 so we can seize your so we can sell your personal information to advertisers. That's Meta's actual business model, by the way. Nintendo's gonna be like, hey, guess what? We're gonna have actual video games with this actual VR headset that's like a fifth the price of what you'll pay for elsewhere, because you already have like the actual expensive thing, the Switch 2. Like you just need like a headset to set it in, right? And there may be like some bells and whistles to it. It may function as like a dock. It may have like some different features. Like I can see it being like 150, like more than the Virtual Boy. In theory, they could like come out and do this, and I feel as if people aren't really thinking about like the implications of this. Like if Nintendo could sell like a $150 headset that you can plug your Switch 2 into, to have all the same features as like a $500 like Oculus Meta Quest 3, like that is going to completely eviscerate that entire industry. Like that is just going to be damning. It's going to be ridiculous. Like there will be no recovery from Meta at that point, because this is a headset that like already that like people have a lot of issues with. There is no software for it. Like they're not all that interesting or fun. Like Nintendo doing the same thing but better is going to be a death sentence for them. Like absolutely 100%. Like the only reason Meta ever even got anywhere in this industry is because there was no competition, and they were just like throwing all their like billions of dollars into this to try and be like the VR like market leader. And it seems like Nintendo's going to eat their lunch. It's fucking insane. And to think it was kickstarted by the Virtual Boy of all things. Like that is that's the funny thing about this, is that like looking at this situation is like seeing how the Virtual Boy beat the Oculus Quest to market, was so far ahead of its time that no one picked it up or supported it, and then 30 years later, you know, becomes a bestseller in its own right, and then like sets the stage for like Nintendo's real VR headset. Like the next evolution of the hardware, one that will like far surpass everything that Meta has done up to this point. Like this is very, very, very exciting, because I think it demonstrates what the future of console gaming is going to look like. Because one of the big copes in the industry for the past several years was this idea that like, oh yeah, consoles are going to stop innovating, and it's going to be PCs that have all these major technological advancements. Like we're seeing more and more that isn't true. Okay, like people buy stuff like Oculus VR and they use it on their own, right? Like, you know, these devices can connect to the internet without a computer, right? So what's going to happen is that, like, the PC is going to kind of be this, like, unspecialized jack-of-all-trades thing, while increasingly people will buy, like, less expensive hardware for more niche purposes and then just kind of use that for whatever they need, right? So gaming hardware is not going anywhere, is what we've been seeing. Like gaming hardware will continue to innovate, and it will continue to grow in very interesting, involving ways. And I think this is a very, very good example of that. You know, we are seeing Nintendo dominate with the Virtual Boy right now. You know, we're seeing them dominate with Hollywood. We're seeing them dominate with the parks. Like, this company is rapidly growing and expanding, and I feel as if people don't really understand what's actually happening, what's actually going on. So this entire situation is something that really clearly demonstrates how far ahead Nintendo is of even the biggest companies in the world. Nintendo is going to stomp Meta.